Well, welcome to the August meeting of the Benton County Republican Women. It does my heart good to see you all here. Everybody had a good month?
Yes, sir.
Good campaigning. Lots of good issues to deal with locally and nationally and internationally, right?
Yes.
It's really, really important for us to be involved. Well, I'm Carrie Perrin-Smith. I'm proud to serve as your president for Benton County Republican Women this year. It has been a great learning experience for me. I recommend board membership if you can. If you're looking for a way to get plugged in and help our candidates, help our party, please talk to me afterwards. We are in the process of looking at next year's board, and so we'd really like to know if there's somebody in the room who really wants to be involved. So, let's get this meeting started with Vicki Bozeman, who's going to bless our meeting.
First, I just want to thank you for this beautiful summer day, and I thank you for all the weather that you've given us. We've been so blessed this summer that grass is still green and we're not even having water. Father, I thank you for that. Lord, I thank you for this group. I thank you for the Republican platform. I thank you for all the candidates who are willing to give up their lives sacrificially to make a difference for our state. Father, right now, I particularly want to thank you for Asa and Susan. Lord, to do a statewide government campaign is it's exhausting. It's physically tiring. It's emotionally distressing. And Lord, I just pray your blessings upon them as they go. I thank you for what Asa stands for. I thank you for the principles that he believes in. I thank you, God, that we can trust that he will honor the Republican platform. I thank you even more, Lord, that he will stand for the Arkansas Constitution and the U.S. Constitution. And Lord, I thank you that he is a man who would even want to be held accountable. Lord, we are so blessed. Be with him today as he speaks. Thank you for the leaders of this organization. Thank you for every single person who is here, because that says, Father, that they care about our state and our nation, and that each one is willing to be involved. Lord, be with the people in Ferguson, Missouri. Lord, my heart goes out there. It's a scary situation. It needs to be resolved in your justice. And God, I pray that that will be brought about. That the people who can make a difference in that situation will do the right thing. I thank you now for this time. Please bless our meeting. Be with Asa as he speaks. And Lord, we give you all praise and glory. In Jesus' name.
Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You may be seated. Well, Donna did a great job of getting the sign-in sheet passed around, but I bet there's probably a person or two in here that didn't get signed in. It's really important to me to see everybody's name on there, because I want to know who was here. So who has the sign-in clipboard? Do you have it? Okay. Raise your hand if you didn't get it. All right, we'll pass it around this way. Please make sure you sign in. One of the most important things that we can do for our candidates is to get out and knock on doors for them. And I would like to ask Lee Nogi, who is leading our activities for door knocking this year, to come up here and give us a few thoughts on what's going on with that.
Hello. I would like to introduce to you Lauren. She is with the Arkansas Republican Party and the Victory Campaign. Hi. And come on up to. She's the mastermind in our area behind the door knocking campaign?
Yeah. So we have an app if you have a smartphone or an iPad, and it will tell you. I can explain it personally to you, but it has like a list of voters that we want to get in contact with. We might not know who they're going to be voting for, so that kind of helps us get to know them and talk to them about the candidates, local candidates, and Asa and Tom Cotton. And so I can explain that more if you guys are interested in doing that.
Well, first of all, what we need is people who are interested to sign up. I'm going to be organizing Saturday door knocking from 9 to noon. It's when people are home. So we'll head out mostly into the Rogers area because we're also wanting to promote our clubs to the women that actually we get to talk to. So we'll have membership cards. We'll also have flyers for the candidates. And if you sign up, I'll call you, either contact you by email or phone you. We'll put that information downloaded to your phone, and we'll go from there. We'll cover the area in Rogers that mostly we're working on Rebecca Petty's area. It's a good area because she's got a strong opponent, and I think that's where our core membership comes from, is this Rogers area. So we've also got a big need for bag filling. This is so that we can give people the information, leave it if they're not home. So we'll have some sessions during the week in the evenings to fill those. We're gonna need a bunch, there's hundreds of doors out there. So I wanna pass this around. Sorry, I got a little bit wet right there. But indicate on there if you've got a smartphone.
Yeah, and if you don't have a smartphone, we can always just print out a list in Maps, and that's always something that we can work with. If you don't have an iPad or a smartphone, we can get you paper copies as well to make it easier. Yeah.
And I enjoyed using it.
You did? Yeah. You had a good experience? Good.
It brought me right down the street and then turned me, into a little jutting area and then back to my car.
Yeah, and well, I'll be sure to pick out some good ones for you guys where you're not walking, 5 miles to each house. I'll pick a good one where the houses are right next to each other.
Yeah, we've got 8 or 9 weekends till then. I'm sure we could do 400 doors.
11 Saturdays until the election.
Yep.
So.
And there's all kinds of things you can take note of, like what they've got in their yard as far as statues and things that indicate, how they might, put a flag, where they are. There's all kinds of things you can put on that app. I learned that at a campaign school for women.
Yeah, exactly.
So, but anyway, thank you so much for coming and for helping us with this.
Thank you for having me, and
we're going to try to help as much as we can.
Awesome.
Okay.
I'm excited. Thank you guys.
Everybody.
For those of you who are watching from video, the room is very, very full. But it's exciting. We had 18 people last month, and I had to take an account today, but we filled up a couple of sheets. So I hope that you guys will have a great time today, and we were, welcoming enough to all of you who don't usually make it on a regular basis to show up again. So we'd love to have you involved. We have lots of great programs, just the programs that Donna has. We'll not tell you today, but the programs that we have coming up that Donna has got planned are so exciting. I'm just so excited. So. All right, there's also a volunteer form on a clipboard, and it might be sitting back there on the desk. Is that back there? Would you pass that around? If you would like to volunteer in any way, say door knocking's not your thing, I'd love to help. I know, because we have the parents of Leslie Rutledge in the back of the room. Everybody wave. Thanks for taking the time to come. Well, I tell you, these people that are running for statewide offices are road warriors. So we're so glad you're here, and I hope you'll be back after the campaign is over, when you can enjoy the meetings a little bit more. But please sign up there if you'd like to be a volunteer. Tell us what you'd like to volunteer doing. If I don't have something on that list that you think is important to our club, put it on there. we'll be really flexible. We'll find a way to get you involved. So something that works with your schedule and with your level of activity that you'd like to be involved with, and all of that. Would also like to remind you, if you did not pay $1 on your receipt when you checked in today, as I did not today, I forgot to ask them to put my gratuity on there. Please remember our server. Never let it be said that Republicans are terrible tippers. So, people who work for the hourly wage in food service, where their tip is expected, do not make very much an hour, and so it's super important that remember that. So, and they give us great service, and they get the use of this room. How awesome is that? So, all right. Without further ado, I'm going to turn this meeting over to our first Vice President, Programs Goddess, Asa Hutchinson.
Well, in our executive committee meeting, we knew that once school started, the numbers would get bigger. We were wondering where we're going to put these people the rest of the year, and I think our plan seems to be working, that we are at minimum capacity, or maximum capacity right now. So we'll have to try to come up with another idea. I don't know how to introduce Asa. He's a hometown boy. We've known Asa and Susan forever. And what I love about this couple, they were Republican when Republican wasn't cool. And many of you don't remember it. The party used to send in our county, I'm not talking about the state, I mean the county, we would send sacrificial lambs out just to have candidates. And Asa was one of those sacrificial lambs. He ran for prosecuting attorney. And that's how you build a party. You have to go through that stage. And then I remember, you may not know it, but in Arkansas, in order to be an official political party, you have to have someone run for governor. And we had a year where no one was really thrilled about the idea of running for governor, and Asa stepped up. And I appreciate that from him and Susan, because that was a sacrifice. So I trust the people who were Republican when Republican isn't cool, because you know they'll stick with our principles and our beliefs, and we couldn't have a better man at the top of our ticket than Asa Hutchinson running for governor. So please let's welcome him.
Thank you, Donna. Great introduction, and appreciate your work here and the invitation to the club. I've just been very encouraged already by being here. Vicki, thank you for your prayer. That was a blessing to hear that, and thank you for your faithful prayers during this campaign. And we're glad to be here. This is encouraging just to see this level of enthusiasm and the door knocking and the calling. Tell us your first name again.
Lauren.
Lauren.
Yes.
All right. Well, that's from a candidate's perspective, I get wrapped up in going to events and traveling Arkansas and speaking, get ready for the debates and the media, all of these things. But let me tell you, that right there is where campaigns are won, is in the door knocking and in the telephone and the canvassing. Because as you know, some of you follow the polls, and we have a good lead right now. You know, not a dramatic lead, but a steady, solid lead that we've maintained, probably 5 to 7 points. And that's a good, you know, where you feel great going into the fall. But a 5-point lead evaporates if you don't get your votes out. And let me assure you, the other side is micro-targeting. They're identifying who they can win and get and focusing their messaging. So they're doing that. And as long as our ground game is strong, we're going to maintain this lead and turn it into a victory. So thank you for what you're doing, all of you, your volunteer work. I just tell you how important that is to us. And then let me give you, you know, Donna talked about our roots here, of course, and Susan is here. Susan hasn't been introduced yet, my wife. And she is a road warrior. Our weekend, we started out in Little Rock at some point ago, and then we were in Blytheville for their Mississippi County Lincoln Day dinner on Saturday night, and we stayed over there, and then we went to a church service that was a 3.5-hour church service. We're solid. We're running. And so we did some campaigning. We did some good work over in West Memphis, and really some wonderful fellowship with some great believers there. And then we went back to Blytheville, and I campaigned in Manila, Arkansas, which reminded me a lot of Gravett. Now, it's in the opposite corner of the state, a little bit larger, it's about 3,000, but a wonderful community right in the northeast part of the state, whereas Gravett, of course, in the northwest part of the state. And we had great support there. We had a good room full of people at a diner. Then I went back and I spoke to the Blytheville Chamber of Commerce. And so we're working Mississippi County. And then we went on through Jonesboro, and last night we were in Lawrence County with a great event. And then we drove over from Lawrence County this morning. That's over by Walnut Ridge. So we leave here, we go to Fort Smith for an open house, and then we're going to come back for an event tonight up here again, and then I will be in Little Rock tomorrow morning at 10 for some meetings and for a speech, and then heading up to Mitt Romney territory in Jonesboro. Now, I know y'all are disappointed that Mitt Romney's not coming here, but we got Mitt Romney coming into Jonesboro, and let me tell you, it's really important. Because Jonesboro, northeast Arkansas, is very, very important to our campaign, bringing really such a huge draw in Mitt Romney that had such incredible support into Jonesboro, and we're going to raise money at that event. It's a sold-out event already, and they are excited about it, and it helps my campaign. And you know, it's a little bit of a reminder, quite frankly. How many of y'all voted for Mitt Romney? All right, well that's pretty close. We got a few didn't raise their hand for good reasons. That's all right. Well, the point being made, it wasn't a complicated choice. I voted and I supported and I worked hard for Mitt Romney. But when he comes in here, he carried Arkansas overwhelmingly. But I've got an opponent in this race that didn't make that same decision that everybody made in this room. And he supported Barack Obama. And so that's a distinction between us, and the Mitt Romney coming in sort of reminds us in our country as to the great leader he would have been for us, and how he is right on many of the issues. And that you've got two candidates in this race, one that's on the conservative Republican team, and you've got someone else who supported the Nancy Pelosi agenda and the Barack Obama agenda as well. So it's a clear distinction in the race. But let me come back and just tell you how much fun it is campaigning across Arkansas. We are road warriors, and Susan leads that. But what the joy is seeing such great stories in this state. Stories of success, sacrifice, of hard work, trying to get ahead, making ends meet, and the spirit of Arkansas in their family, in their churches, in their community, and what they're trying to accomplish in their lives and to make this state greater. And so we were I was in Conway, and I saw a great story of someone who played football for the Razorbacks. He was a middle linebacker. And he's 29 years old now, so he's been out of school for a little bit. But whenever he got out of school, he went back to Conway, and that's when they were starting the Fayetteville Shell exploration. And he wanted to be able to start his business. He couldn't find a niche that they would welcome him in, saying, you've got an opportunity here. Because there was a lot of out-of-state companies coming in doing this exploration. So he said, tell me a job that no one else will do. And they said, well, cleanup. We need more work in cleanup. So he started a cleanup business in the oil and gas industry in central Arkansas, serving a lot of these companies. And today, he borrowed $5,000 to start that business, invested in it. And today, he has $30 million in sales and over 300 employees. And he's 29 years old. And I can't help but think that you learn something through sports about digging deep, hard work, pulling more out of yourself, teamwork, building a team, and leadership. And so there's a lot of what a great Arkansan. And he created jobs in the state because he took risks, he worked hard, and was willing to do and what other people weren't willing to do, and he found a niche business. And then you go up to Northeast Arkansas and Blytheville. And have y'all seen my latest commercial? How many of y'all seen Elevator? It's starting to get out, it's starting to penetrate, but you're gonna like it when you see it. And of course, Elabeth, my granddaughter, our granddaughter, technically.
She looks like me.
She's 11 years old, and she's in the commercial, and she's competing with some guys shooting hoops, shows her swimming, she's on the swim team, and I'm narrating, not that anybody pays any attention to me, and I'm talking about the importance of computer science in every high school in Arkansas. And that this is really the future for Arkansas boys, and she comes over and I say, and girls, right, Elabeth? So it's a really nice commercial that gets a message out about education, about opportunity, and about technology and education. And so when I was over in Blytheville, we were having lunch like this, and I do a survey, so I'm going to ask you all this survey. If we offer computer science in every high school in Arkansas, what percent, it's not mandatory. Over in the UK, they actually make mandatory to take computer science. But if you offer computer coding in the schools, what percent of students will actually sign up to take that class if you get a math or science credit for it? So I'm going to ask you in a second, how many think it's 0 to 20%? How many think it's going to be 20 to 40%? And how many think it would be over 40%? So first of all, how many of you think it will be 0 to 20% will take that class? Okay. How many of you think it will be 20 to 40% that takes that class? How many of you think it would be over 40%? Well, you're visionaries. That's impressive. Well, I was in the group and everybody in that category voted 20 to 40%. Then I said over 40%, and 8 students, 6 of whom are African American, raised their hand. Over 40% will be taking that class. They were excited about it, those high school kids. That's inspirational to me. And you illustrate this in terms of our economy in Arkansas. If you have 30,000 graduates from high school in Arkansas, which is a round number for us, and if only, say your estimate's off, say it's only 20% that take that computer coding class and learn computer programming. 20% of 30,000 is 6,000. So you would be producing in Arkansas 6,000 graduates a year that could do computer programming. That has the potential of changing the dynamics and the economy of the state of Arkansas. That's an infusion of talent, of capability, of good paying jobs, as well as entrepreneurs that will create more jobs. So that was exciting to see that feedback in this room, but also over there. The politics of this race are in our favor. And I look at it this way, that look at the state geographically. In South Arkansas, Mike Ross has a little bit of an advantage because even though they're moving conservative, he's represented that area for the last 10 years in Congress. They're very familiar with him, and so he's got a little edge in South Arkansas. I've got an edge in Northwest Arkansas because of you, because of my roots here and because of our base here. Central Arkansas, you sort of split because it's a tough area, and Central Arkansas is a split. So what does make a real key swing area in this campaign? Northeast Arkansas. And so we're spending time over there, not taking Northwest Arkansas for granted, but really engaging in Northeast Arkansas is an important area for us. And you look, coming back to the economy for just a second, we have a booming economy here in Northwest Arkansas, but it's not something any governor can take for granted. Anything can have a downturn, and we've experienced it here in Northwest Arkansas. And most recently, we've had the manufacturing company, Superior Manufacturing, that shut down. What was it, 300 jobs? 500 jobs. And my daughter-in-law's dad works there as well, so it impacts us. But that's a reminder that even though you have a growing and expanding economy in Northwest Arkansas, you cannot rest on your laurels. You cannot say we've achieved great economic success here. It's a dynamic and changing world day by day, and these things are naturally going to happen. And so we have to have a governor that is a job creator, that is concentrating on the economic growth of our state day in and day out. And so while we might lose Superior, we've got to bring in other industry. We've got to be able to continue to expand and not groan about it, to look for new opportunities. And there are plenty of new opportunities out there. In Arkansas, want to be the jobs governor because I believe a growing economy solves about every problem. Some of you say we need more roads. Well, you can build greater infrastructure if you've got a growing economy with a greater tax base. Some of you say we need to pay our teachers more, invest more in education. I agree, absolutely. But a growing economy, expanding our tax base is critically important to achieve that objective. You want better jobs for your children and grandchildren and raise the opportunities for them. It's a growing and expanding economy that does that. Governor Rick Perry, our friend down in Texas, is working hard at that every day. And Governor Jindal down in Louisiana, working hard at it every day. It's a competitive world. And in Fort Smith, you've heard me tell the story of going through a plant there, and they have about 100 employees. They want to expand, and they said they just had a call from Governor Rick Perry. And I said, what did he want? And they said, well, they wanted to recruit us to move from Arkansas down to Texas. And I said, the first thing I'll do as governor is to block all calls coming from Governor Perry's office. But it's competitive, and we're surrounded by governors that understand this mission and that fewer regulations and lower taxes give them a benefit. And we want to be able to compete with those things. And that's my platform, is I'm talking about lowering the individual income tax rate in Arkansas. Missouri is lower. You've got Oklahoma that's lower. Texas is 0. Tennessee is 0. We've got to compete by lowering our tax rate. And it's important for you to understand the distinction, because my opponent in this race, Mr. Ross, he has a tax plan. And it's for the middle class. And he wants to index the rates back for decades up through, with inflation, give an inflationary index. So he provides tax relief, I provide tax relief. What is the distinction? In the end, he does not have an objective of lowering the income tax rate. And so you can provide that tax relief, but you're not going to be having a lower marginal rate that hurts our competitiveness with other states. So 2 objectives, 2 goals, and 2 end results. And so clear distinctions in our tax plan. We've got to lower it 7% down to 6%, 6% down to 5% without raising other taxes. And you do that because you manage state government well and you grow our economy. And as you grow our economy, absolutely, you want to extend those tax reductions, those rate reductions, to those in the higher income tax brackets and other income tax brackets. So that's the simple plan there, lowering our income tax rate. We want to improve education. We could talk a long time about that, but high standards, high expectations for our young people, transparency and choice that is so important in our education here in this state, as well as moving to technology education and a career education path that is so essential to our state. And then finally, though, it is about reducing the intrusiveness of government and the burden of unnecessary regulations. And down in South Arkansas, I'm visiting with some manufacturers. They're right across the line from Louisiana. And the manufacturers, they've got a choice as to where they can expand. And they said it takes, if they apply for an air quality permit in Louisiana for a new manufacturing facility, they will process it 3 months quicker than we will process it in Arkansas. Protect the environment, do the right thing, enforce the law, but let's move forward quickly so that we can be a partnership with business and not an obstacle to growth and expansion. And that's what other states are doing. That's what we need to do in the regulatory environment here in Arkansas. Now, why people are so excited this campaign cycle and so energized is that They want to have a governor that concentrates on growth in the state, but also understands how Washington has gone awry. And you just look at what's happened in the past few years under this administration. Expansion of government control of health care and government influence in it through the Affordable Care Act. You've had new EPA regulations that is going to cost us in terms of our utility rates. It's going to cost us in terms of the residential rates. It is going to cost us even more in Arkansas because we are more dependent upon coal. And he has bypassed Congress and done it by his own fiat through the EPA regulations, and we need a governor that will join the other states in opposing those new regulations. And then finally, you look at what's happened under this administration. Anytime there's a violent act in our country, they simply look at how as a reason and an excuse to enact more gun control and violate our Second Amendment rights. And that's what we see, and we need to have a governor that will stand up against that as well. So I've had the privilege of serving Benton County and Northwest Arkansas in the United States Congress. I've had the privilege of serving 2 presidents as United States Attorney and in the Bush administration. But let me tell you, there will not be a greater joy and privilege that I could have than to serve the people of Arkansas as your next governor. I need your help. We also need the rest of the team. I tell you, Leslie Rutledge is working hard out there campaigning. We've got Tim Griffin and so much support leading in the polls. We've got a great ticket up and down. We've never had a stronger set of candidates. And that's part of our challenge, is that in every race, I think that's a true statement, in every race, the Democrat side's got a bigger kitty than we've got. In my race, with President Clinton's help and with the Democrat machine help, they've raised $5 million. We've raised $3 million in our campaign, and $3 million is a lot of money. I recognize that, and I'm very proud of that fact, of your sacrifice that you've made. But in all the races, they have concentrated their resources in fewer candidates and have really maximized that, and we've got great candidates across the board to support. So it's a challenge and a blessing at the same time. And so thank you for the sacrifices that you made in making this campaign. We got a lot ahead of us. There's going to be some attack ads, but whenever you're leading the polls, that's what's going to happen. And the truth sometimes gets lost in the shuffle. So I need you to do a couple things. Make sure, if you haven't done it, go to asaforgovernor.com and put in your email address. That keeps you posted on our campaign. Secondly, there's a truth page there that you can go. When you see a negative ad, we're going to have a response out there so you can help us to get the truth out and make sure that people understand what our position is on it. We want to make sure we get our message out, not simply responding to the other side. So thank you. I'll stop and just see if you got any questions. What a great crowd.
So we'd love to have you come join us in Fayetteville. A bunch of us, there were people going at 8 o'clock this morning to fight against the Fayetteville ordinance. Of course, the city council meets at 5:30. And we figure we're going to be wrapped around. And if you guys on your way to Fort Smith and on your way back could come say hello to those of us who haven't made it in, they're letting 300 into the chamber.
Wow. Was it a town hall meeting at the chamber?
It is the Civil Rights Ordinance. This is the 3rd reading. It violates the Arkansas Constitution as well as the U.S. Constitution. It is real and perceived discrimination of, the race, gender stuff, but the LGBTQ. It'll open up restrooms. If a part of churches will be influenced by this, as well as private institutions, private schools. They're not making the restrooms in the public schools open, it seems like. And it's not just restrooms, it's saunas, dressing rooms.
Well,
But we are fighting hard. We've had 2 rallies, and Benton County's supporting them very
Well,
much.
Thank you for alerting me to that.
finished?
I'm done. I'll sit down. You got some announcements. All
How
right.
about corporate taxes? Are you going to, do you have a plan to lower corporate tax, not just income taxes, to keep business growing?
You know, if I had a list of taxes that we needed to reduce in Arkansas, it's a long list. And because we're out of step, a governor has to set priorities. And I think the most important priorities for job creation is lowering the individual income tax. So let's start there. We'll start looking at other things.
I have a question.
Dexter?
Are you gonna appoint more conservative leaning people to boards and commissions in this state?
Yes. 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 That's what price you pay. As John Brummett pointed out, you've got a governor right now, Democrat governor Mike Beebe, who might govern from the middle, but he appoints to the left. And you've seen that on boards and commissions. And that's one of the reasons we have too great of regulations, and we've got to make sure we've got more conservatives in these positions. And yes, that will happen. I want to thank Mike Sivak for working so hard on my campaign as well. He's been a real trooper for me, and I can start around. And I want to congratulate the legislators that will be serving, that are Mr. Hodges, others that have been elected. Y'all are going to be part of the team next year, so we're looking forward to serving with you. Yes, sir.
He said, 3 questions for you. One is gubernatorial attitudes about illegal aliens and the role of the governor of Arkansas in that regard. 2 is, what do you see, if anything, in terms of change of attitude about abortions and how the state imposes or laissez-faire attitude in that regard? The 3rd is, in terms of energy, do you see a role for nuclear energy in the state of Arkansas?
We need a diversity of energy sources. Nuclear is a key part of that. We have Arkansas Nuclear 1 in Russellville, so it's a key part of it. And yes, I see it as part of our future. In the second question was on the abortion issue. Of course, I put it in historic perspective, and national attitudes and Arkansas attitudes have shifted over the last 3 decades, shifted more pro-life. Our state is much more pro-life, and part of it is because of education, part of it is because of advocacy in medical science that gives you an appreciation for the potential, the unborn and the life that it represents. So I think it's a very positive attitude in the pro-life direction, and it's reflected in the legislature that passed the pro-life legislation. And then the first question I'm going backwards on is what? Immigration. Oh, immigration. The role of the governors. Absolutely, the governors have a role to play. It's not the same as what the federal government's role is, but for example, I like the concept of our border governors being appointed as a commission, if you will, or a group that will certify different levels of border security. You know, when America looks at the need to secure our borders, who do they have confidence in? It really is our governors who are living and breathing that every day, our border governors. And so I like that concept. When they say our borders are secure, then let's take a look at immigration reform. And so in Arkansas, we're not a border governor, but we're certainly impacted by what's happening on the border. And so the governor of Arkansas can be a voice for border secure policies, as well as for other immigration issues that might come up.
Would you be in favor, for instance, on a statewide basis, having identification for voting registration?
Well, that's what our voter ID law is. And I certainly support the voter ID law, which is another contrast with Mr. Ross, who says he would have vetoed the voter ID law that the legislature passed. I think you've got a lot more going on your program, so I better stop. Thank you very much for your time today, and thank you for your time.
I had a friend who wanted to come, but she couldn't get off work, so she asked me, what's Asa like as a person? And I said, rent the movie To Kill a Mockingbird. Asa is a living, breathing Atticus Finch. And one thing being a living, breathing Atticus Finch, you're humble. So I'm going to brag about Asa that most of you don't know. George Bush appointed him over the Drug Enforcement Agency. And it was sort of a mess when he took over. And he did a wonderful job running that. The Democrats thought he did a wonderful job. The morale was as high as could be under the DEA when Asa was there. Why am I telling you this? I think we have a president who didn't have the background to run large organizations. I mean, government's just sort of wieldy, out of control. You can ask these state reps. They want to serve under a governor that knows how to run a large organization, because they get the calls when nothing is going right. Asa knows how to run a large organization. Being Republican or Democrat, the job is top executive. You have to know how to run a large corporation or organization. And his opponent has run one pharmacy. So if people aren't sure about principles or beliefs, tell them we need a good executive to have that job, and they can't go wrong with Asa. So I appreciate you coming out. Next month, we're having Secretary of State Mark Martin here to tell us all about the new initiatives and amendments. By then, it'll all be sorted out, and we know what will be on the ballot. And we are, I think, in November, we're having someone come and tell us all about those commissions and what's going to be vacant. So you need to come here and find out the list of openings that will be coming in January if you're interested in signing up for any of them. So thank you for coming out. I appreciate you taking your lunch hour off, and I'll turn it back over to Carrie.
Thank you, Donna. Great job, you guys. I've long believed that people show up for the program, and I believe programs are the foundation of the success of an organization, but I also believe that they come back because of the experience. So I hope each one of you will engage with somebody today. If you guys are a regular here, please reach out to somebody you don't recognize that's in the room today and help them feel welcome, answer any questions that they have, ask them to come back, and for goodness sake, do the membership altar call, as I call it. Please join. $25 a year, and we are starting to recruit for our 2015 membership, so that's really important. It gets us bragging rights statewide. Also, never let it be said that Benton County Republican Women have an attendance or have a membership less than 50. We have 3 clubs to split our membership up here in Benton County, so we believe in decentralizing our membership so that more people can be involved. And if you're an affiliate, if you wish to be an affiliate member, which doesn't get you any voting rights, but gets you bragging rights to be a member of Benton County Republican Women, especially for you guys out there. Your friends will be very excited about that. $15, and it helps support the work that we do with Benton County Republican Women. Alrighty, Asa has some really cool swag back there. Did you guys see these? The camo Asa. So, a lot of people wander in. If people wandered into their voting booth in November and go, gee, I have no idea who these people are on our ballot for governor, they're hurting. But especially like in the Tom Cotton race, oh my goodness.
The camouflage, I just want you to know, Asa went to the fair booth several different days, and we went out of those hats.
Yeah, how cute is that? So for you guys who are looking for some ideas for your campaign swag, that's what you do. There's also an envelope on your table. Yeah, I'm having like a senior moment. I need somebody to help me fill in the words. Does that ever happen to anybody when they get in front of a room and a camera and things like that? To quote a great pastor who shall remain nameless because I can't remember his name. Don't give till it hurts, give till it feels good. So let's take care of our candidates. And remember our statewide candidates who are trekking across our state. I can't even imagine being from here and trying to campaign across the state. Every time I have to go to Little Rock for one of our AFRW meetings, I'm like the biggest whiner in the whole world. Those people deserve combat pay who represent us in Little Rock. Am I right? So next time you get a chance to say thank you to them, please do. It's really, really important. They represent us, they help do the good work, and they go through 2,500 bills that they have to read and that are written in horrendous ways that have stuff hidden in them. They are really, really important to what we're trying to accomplish as a state and as a party and as a human race, humanity. Okay, if you are running unopposed, would you please stand? Running unopposed in November. Yay. I want to congratulate you on being done.
I don't understand the concept.
All right, if you are running in an opposed race, please stand. Running in an opposed race. All right, Mr. Grant Hodges. Grant Hodges?
I'm in House District 96, which is sort of the northeastern part of the county, edge of Rogers, Avoca, Garfield, Gateway. I have a Democratic and a Libertarian opponent, so I could use your help in November, but I feel good about it.
Specifically, how can we help you?
Knock on doors, make phone calls, and especially give me some money.
Any money. All right, in the back of the room, representing Leslie Rutledge.
I think I know most of you. Been here a number of times. We live in Bentonville. Most of the time, sometimes in Batesville, northeast Arkansas. You're right. You're exactly right. We're going to carry up here. But Leslie's really excited, and she's really been tremendously excited about the support she's gotten in Benton County, and knows. I was looking at the stats of the 15 most populous counties in the state make up about 2/3 of the vote. So that's going to be, and this is one of, this is the second largest county in the state in terms of votes, next to Pulaski County. And this is really critical. All of your all's work is critical. For Asa and Tim and Leslie and Tom and all down the ballot. It's critical that we get a maximum turnout and a maximum Republican vote in Benton County and in Washington County too. Washington County is, they vote almost as much as Benton County. I mean, the two of them together vote about like Pulaski County does. So it's really important. These 3 counties or 4 counties along the western side, Crawford and Sebastian. This is where we win or lose elections in this state.
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. He makes an excellent point. Y'all, Democrats really, really excited about voting. Our voter turnout up in this county has not been all that great for Republicans. We need to be talking to our friends and neighbors and get them to the polls in November. It's not enough to believe in the ideals and to love the candidate. You gotta walk in there and press the buttons or write on the paper, whichever one you're gonna do. So let's have as great a turnout as we had 2 years ago as for this election. Let's believe enough in the time that the candidates invest to get out there and vote. It takes a few minutes. Vote early, vote absentee, whatever they need to do. Talk to your friends and neighbors. Other opposed candidates. Janet, do you have a candidate? Oh.
Well, municipal.
Municipal, tell.
Does anybody here live in the city of Lowell? Nobody cares. I'm running for re-election as alderman, and for the first time I am opposed by 2 candidates. One of whom is my major funder from past elections.
Okay.
I got this.
There you go. Definitely. Stephanie, you've got opposition over in
I'm running in Bentonville for Ward 1, Position 1, so I do have opposition. One of my opponents is Leah Williams' husband, who is running against Jim Dodson, so I would be your conservative candidate in that case. So I would choose.
Wow, they're just kind of keeping it family over there. So, all right, and Leah Williams has not really been in our community all that long, so not nearly the length of time that Jen Dodson has, and the same thing with her husband. Stephanie and her family have a lot more time in the Bentonville community. Who else running opposed? Is that it? Beside me?
I'm not running,
Okay.
but I would like to speak for Sue Scott.
Oh, excellent, thank you.
I've been working with her, well, last spring, I beat on an awful lot of doors up in your area, just across the highway. So, and I was kind of shook up by the closeness of the vote, because the other guy didn't have much to say. And Sue's been there 2 years already. And so she needs help too.
Excellent. Well, thank you for being there for her. The team is so important. And I am running for Rogers City Council. I am in a race with 3 other people. So one that I ran a really tough race last time. I was gonna feel all sorry for myself, but I'm not the only race with like a whole bunch of people. You guys seen that race in Fayetteville? One of the municipal seats has 7 people in the race.
Talk about runoff.
Yeah, I'm just going, man. Okay, so, and I happen to know, like in my race last time, 1,500 people didn't even vote in my race. Could you have turned the tide in a situation like that by knocking on a few more doors? Folks, that's why I say it's so important that you take the time, even if you hate knocking on doors. I hate knocking on doors, do it. It's really important. Club reports. Who have, what's Tea Party doing tonight?
Benton County Tea Party's meeting tonight. I will not be there. But they have that, I don't know his name, but that libertarian candidate who's running against Steve. They're having him speak.
Okay.
I don't know.
Interesting. Very good.
I've
Other
never
club
heard of my
reports. What's going on with Benton County Republican Party?
I'm not sure who our next speaker is, actually, sorry.
But hey, next Tuesday evening, join us at the county building.
It's in, Siloam Springs.
Oh, it's in Siloam this time, so we're gonna pretend to be road warriors, which isn't really that far. We have to drive to Little Rock every time. Okay. What else? What's going on with your organization?
The assemblies won't meet this month. We will meet in September, and we hope to have discussion. We're probably going to have 2 meetings in September. One to address the Amendment 3, the slip in of the term limits, and then the other one is we're hoping to have this one will probably be a weekend, and it will be on the ambulance issue in Benton County. That should be a pretty interesting thing.
Wow, excellent topic.
Yeah,
Lots of concern about that.
Quorum court, and we're gonna see if we get some city council folks on that too.
Alrighty, since we met last, we've had a fundraiser, we had a nacho dinner. Thank you for everybody that came out and supported us and attended and ate nachos and bought desserts. We made $337. So we had we helped them out with some an immigration panel or a forum, and so we had 4 speakers come up, and actually 3 of them gave their immigration stories, which that wasn't really planned, but I think that was really neat to hear their immigration stories as well. Voter registration on National Voter Registration Day is September 23rd, and Samaritan Community Center is going to have Voter Registration Day right there. They're going to do it at their Rogers facility, which is up here on Highway 102, and then the one in Springdale, and I believe the Washington County Republican Women are working on that one. Ma'am?
In connection with that, I've been assembling a list of pastors and preachers in the Northwest Arkansas Family Research Council and Family Council, like you called too. They want pastors to get together for a breakfast and be encouraged to go before their congregations and talk to them about the importance of registering to vote and getting out to vote and voting our consciences and being good, responsible citizens and not staying home. So
excellent.
So they're working hard on that. September 16th, that's a Tuesday morning, it's gonna be the day. If you'd like for me to put your pastor down or put your name beside that as a contact person as the DC person calls,
Absolutely. So if you have a pastor you'd like to add to her list, it's not a commitment. It's just simply they're going to reach out to them and get them connected. Pastors have so much influence. And if they are concerned about talking about politics, the lady who I talked to at Samaritan Community Center was really good at helping us. I asked her like all the rules, because there's some specific rules because they're a nonprofit and they have rules about campaigning, you know, with is associated with that. So what I did was got all that information. So she'd be a great contact to talk to about that. All right, remember to like our Facebook page, please. I post things on our Facebook page. And it's BCRW, Benton County Republican Women. Please remember to pray. Please remember to pray for the people of Ferguson, Missouri, who are so divided right now, for the right outcome on this city council ordinance vote tonight in Fayetteville, and also for the Christians who are dying for their faith due to genocide. It's really important. Sometimes when we feel helpless here, the most important thing we can do is pray. And many times in closing, you've heard Vicki talk about the 11th commandment. How many of you know what that is? Small group. I didn't know what the 11th commandment was. Here is, the 11th commandment is basically, thou shalt not speak ill of any Republican. Maybe I should have recapped that before the primaries were over. But the origin of the 11th commandment is most often credited to former Republican President Ronald Reagan. Though he used the term many times to discourage infighting in the GOP, he did not come up with the 11th commandment. The term was first used by California's Republican Party Chairman Gaylord B. Parkinson before Reagan's first campaign for governor in the state in 1966. He had inherited a party that was deeply divided. As we go forward into these next 80 plus days, please remember to do whatever you can to bring the other person in the party along beside you. You're not just campaigning for them, you're campaigning for yourself, you're campaigning for them. So, Janet,
I just wanted to add another word about tonight in Fayetteville. I can't go because I have city council here in Lowell, but if you're available to go and support in Fayetteville, this is such an important issue, and we know how liberal Fayetteville can be. We just have to show them the support, and bodies count.
And there have been businessmen coming out to meetings besides pastors and just regular Christian citizens.
Can somebody explain again, because I heard it on Facebook for the first time today, and nobody ever explains the whole thing, they just kind of start giving opinions. So, like at the beginning, who's sponsoring what?
The Human Rights Campaign is the one that came up with the ordinance, and the city attorney 2 weeks ago was saying, well, we took out pieces of it that were unconstitutional. We don't get the full-blown thing, but they take away First Amendment rights.
I can give you kind of a summary.
Conscience.
I can give you a summary. This was what was given to us as council members. This ordinance calls for churches that allow non-members access to the sanctuary for ceremonies like weddings, Boy Scout, et cetera, to allow access and use by same-sex couples or meetings performed by a contrary religion. This will force churches and religious organizations to subsidize and participate in actions contrary to their belief. This is not the solution for churches or other organizations. It would allow anyone of the opposite sex to access bathrooms, locker rooms, showers, etc., as long as they claim to regard themselves as opposite sex. However, there is no genuineness requirement.
Okay.
It's outrageous.
I've got to wrap up our meeting because we're after 1 o'clock now, but I will share some more information. There's information on our Facebook page if you're more interested about that. Thank you guys for coming. Please come back and see us next month.